Let's get started. We're going to be kicking off where we left off last time with the mini demo. And the starter code can still be found on our website. And everything should be the same there as here, except I think I added maybe this request import and these imports here. But if you remember what we did last time, we can just go over it real quick. We made our task class or model and our subtask class or model. And made the relationship between those two. And we did that using an ORM, which is SQL Alchemy. Yeah, ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. It basically makes it so that we don't have to use raw SQL, and it'll translate our code, object-oriented code, into SQL for us and handle some safety stuff. So last time we made these classes, which are also models. We defined that here. So that makes the class a model specifically for SQL Alchemy. This is the name of the actual SQL table we're creating. So that's why it's lowercase and plural. Then we have this ID. We're going to have that in every model. It's always the same integer, primary key, and auto increment. We have a description and a done. This is all the same as the previous demos we've done this semester. We have this init here because we're making a class. So we need that. And we use these keyword arguments here to pass in a description and a done. And yeah, that's how we initialize a task object. And then we have this serialize function here, which takes a task object and just returns it as a dictionary because front end is going to want JSON. It's just a lot easier for them to work with. So that's what serialize does. We did the same thing here in Subtask. So the init and serialize are basically exactly the same. We just also have this task ID field here. And this is a foreign key to the ID of our task. And this is not unique. This foreign key does not have the unique constraint, so that makes it so that we can have many of these subtasks for each task. So it's a one-to-many relationship. Today, we're going to start by writing these routes using our new ORM, see how that works. And then we're going to add a new many-to-many relationship, which is category. So let's just get started with our get tasks. So last time you might be familiar with like writing a function in your db.py, like get all tasks, something like that, and then calling that in your app. What you can do in an ORM is it basically does it for you. There's just a built-in function for that. So let's just try and implement this. We're going to make a list here, tasks. And then we're going to be using this task.query.all function. And this is going to get all of our tasks. So this is going to be like a bunch of task objects, right? So we're going to loop through those. So for task in this, we're going to append it to our tasks, right? Task.append task. But remember that this is an object right now, and we want it in our dictionary format. So we're going to use that serialize that I was talking about here. So task.serialize. And this will just put it into a dictionary for us, which is very nice. Now all we have to do is just return our success response with the dictionary tasks and tasks. Cool. So this should all be good now. That's all we need to do. So this task.query.all is pretty useful, and there's a bunch of other built-in things in SQL Alchemy that were used. Any questions with that before I move on? Sick. Oh yeah, there's also a cleaner way to do this, which is just like some Python syntax. I'll write it out real quick just so you guys know. And I might use it later in the lecture as well. So all it is we can do it in one line basically. So this would all be commented out, like this all wouldn't exist. Just return a success response with the dictionary tasks. A list, this is a list comprehension, I think is what it's called. But all we're doing is we're like serializing each task for each task in our task.query.all. This is just a one-line way to do this. We're just going to get each task from task.query.all and serialize it and put it into a list here. Cool, but I'll leave it like this for now, just because it'll probably be easier to understand at the beginning. All right. Yeah, let's move on to the create task now, because we can't really test this until we have some tasks to get. Yeah, so we already have our documents written for us. And we're going to be passing in a body here because we have to pass in the description and the done. So we'll get our body. Perfect. And now we're just going to create our new task. So this is basically just like creating an object in Python. We're just going to use our init. And the way we do that is just task. And then we pass in our description. And we get that from our body. So we get our description here. And then we also get a value for done. Cool. This is all good. We have a new task now, but we haven't really added it to our database at all. We just have the new task like in code here. We don't have it in the database. So the way we do that, add it to the database is db.session.add, and then we just add this new task. So this will add it to our database. And then like before, we do have to commit our changes when we make a batch of updates or one update. We do that with db.session.commit. So that's about it. We're just going to return a success response now. And we're going to return our new task, but this is still an object, so we're going to serialize it first. And then we're going to pass in 201 here. And this is all we need for create task. As you can see, it's pretty simple. Yeah, this should be all good here. We could test it through Postman, I think. Let's see. I'm also just going to add like this false here in case they don't input a done value. Yeah, just because I think last time we said like they wouldn't have to input done, we'd assume it's false. So let's run the code. Cool. And let's try creating a task. So we'll do a description. It should work without a done. Yeah, so it just defaults to done. And that worked all right. 201, that's good. Create a couple. And then we can test our get all tasks, right? Yeah, this all looks good. So we can move on. Does anyone have any questions about the first two before we move on? Yeah. And I'm recording. Yeah. Cool. We can move on. Yeah, Josh is gonna do get task by ID.
Yeah, so next thing we're going to implement is the get task route. Let's delete the pass here. So yeah, this is the endpoint for getting a task by ID, very similar to like getting all tasks, right? So first thing we want to do is we want to get the task by ID by filtering. So remember how SQL we use the where keyword, where ID equals in this case task ID. Using our ORM, they actually have a function built in for this, and we can just do task.query because we're passing in a query. And they have a function called filter by, so underscore by. So this is essentially the same thing as where. So you can filter all the tasks, everything in the task table by a certain parameter that you insert here. So in this case, we want to check that the column ID has the ID task ID, right? And then here, if you have like something else here, like description equals blah blah blah, you will actually get not only one. This will actually return a couple. So the way to like in this case, because we know ID is unique, but we want to emphasize that it's unique, we can just do dot first. So this will just get the first one from this like return. And then I'm just going to assign this to a variable task. And this is basically it. All we have to do now is return it. But don't forget, we have to check if it's not there, right? So if we have to do the same thing like we did in the previous version. So if task is none, then here we want to return the error response, failure response. And here we're just going to give a useful error message, task not found. Yep. And if it does exist, then we're just going to return a success response, and it will just be task.serialize like that. So we're gonna once again serialize the task, just package it into that nice format we already set in our db.py and return it as a success response. In this case, it should be 200. Yeah. So if you look up here, yeah. So the default code is 200, so it should be fine. Yep. Yeah, let me just go ahead and test this actually. Going to Postman, I get task by ID. Um, let's do get all tasks first, and let's see the output. So here we can see we have two tasks, ID1 and ID2. They're both the same, but let's try get the one with ID2. So over here we have in the URL, we pass in 2. And if we send this, yep, it gives us back the second one. But let's try and get something that's not there. So if we do something like 3, which shouldn't be there, this should give us, there you go. It should give us the error response, task not found, in a nice, neat JSON, because this is using our failure response function right here. Yep. Any questions for this one? This one's quite similar. The only difference is using the filter by function here. Yep. All right. Let me do the next one. I can't do that. All right. So the next one we want to implement is update task. This is the same as we've been doing, implementing all the CRUD operations. For update task, let's go through the steps on how we want to do this. So first, you want to get the task, right? You want to actually get the task by ID, because we're passing in the ID. Second, you want to check if it exists. If it doesn't exist, return a response. And if it does exist, then you want to try and edit it, and you want to commit to the database. So first, let's try and get the actual task. So task equals task dot what was query dot filter by, and here we need to do ID equals task ID. This is the same line as the previous function. We're doing at the first one. So now we have the task, and then we check if task is none. So if task is none, then we want to copy this, like just put task not found. If we do find it, then we want to actually change it, right? So we will do like task dot description equals, and here we're going to want to take an input from the user. So in this case, when they're updating tasks, they're going to send us information in the body, right? Because this is a put request. So before here, I'm going to put body equals JSON dot loads request dot data. So this way I'm just accessing the body, same as we've been doing. And here, let's just update the description to be whatever the user gave us. So here it will be body dot get description, like that. And in case the user does not give us a description, like in case the user just give us a done, wants to set a task to done, we want to also take in the the fallback here. So we're gonna keep it as the previous variable, which in this case was this task dot description. So if body has description, the key description, then we will set it to this. But then otherwise, we will just keep it the same way as last time. Yep. And now let's do the same for task.done. Body.get done. And same thing, we're gonna put the fallback as just the done, the previous value. So this way the user can give us both description and done, like, or just one of them. Even if they don't give us anything, this part should work, but I'm not sure if this part will work. Like if it tries and loads the body and the body's empty. But yeah, this just makes it so that they can give us one or two, or either one of them. Yep. So, and after we're done editing it, editing the task that we got, don't forget to commit it to the database because in this case, we're making a change. So db.session.commit, and all we have to do after that is return the success response, like right here. Yep. That's the serialize. Perfect. So let's try and test this route. Let's go to Postman. If you get all tasks, we still have two. Let's try and change the second one to something else. So we go update task with ID. Let's update the second one. So I put in the ID2 here. And yeah, let's change to eat pizza instead, and done is false. So we send that. It returns this. So it should have updated it. So to check, let's get all tasks again. And there you go. It's changed to eat pizza and it's false. All right. All right. That's basically it for the update route. What do we have to do next? Delete task and that.
Yeah. So let's do delete task now. This one's also going to be pretty simple. Um, yeah, it handles a lot of this stuff for us. So, uh, it says it's in create task.
Oh, is it wrong?
Yeah, it's the old one. If you look at like, yeah, um, but basically we're just going to be getting the task and then deleting it, and committing, I believe. So
I don't have it here.
just do this. I don't want to like give y'all the wrong thing. You can look at the session or like the history on the Google Doc as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's faster.
Or I could just vibe code.
Let's go for it. Let me pull it up. Let's start coding.
So we're gonna get the task in the same way.
Oh, you just copy pasted it.
Yeah. And then it's task dot, I think it's just task dot delete.
So,
Wait, what are you doing, bro?
Hmm?
What are you pulling up?
the old one.
I could also just open up my other demo.
It is.
Oh yeah, db dot session. So we just get the task, right? Um, we delete it, db dot session dot delete, and then we commit it. It should all be good. And then we just return our success response with the task we just deleted, because it could be helpful sometimes. So this is all pretty chill. Are there any questions about this? It just, again, handles all the deletion for us. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, most of this lecture is gonna be learning syntax of the ORM we're using. Like you already understand every single line basically, but we're just trying to teach you guys the syntax like dot delete, the commit and stuff like that. So it is kind of, not gonna lie, it's kind of boring, but yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully the later stuff will be exciting too, though. We're gonna do create subtask next. You want me to do it?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
The next one.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna do create subtask. So this is gonna be like pretty similar to our create task here. We just have some other stuff to do, because it's a subtask, but pretty chill. So the first thing actually we have to do for this one is like check that this task ID that we passed in is like corresponds to a real task that exists. Um, so the way we do that, we're just gonna get the task, literally the same thing as above. Yeah, and we're gonna do the same check. We just have to make sure the task exists before we make a subtask to it. Now we're just gonna try and make a subtask. So this is gonna be really similar to create task again, but I'll just write it out again. Getting our body from request.data. We are now just going to create the new subtask and then commit it. So into new subtask. And then we just do the subtask here. I'm gonna spread it out just to be clean. We're gonna pass in the description, which will be our body.get description. We have it done. And then we're just gonna need this task ID, right? Um, and since we passed it in right here, all we do is task ID equals task ID. So now we have our new subtask. We're just gonna add it and commit it. And the reason we didn't have to add it like for the update is because it already existed. Like pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, we're creating this new one, so we have to add it. Let's just return a success response. Oh yeah, we just need to return this new subtask. Serialize it. Cool. I think we could try this out now. Is it running? I think so. So yeah, we'll try and make a new subtask to our second task. Not no constraint failed subtask. Oh, I think I know what's going on. I think we didn't pass in a done here, and I forgot to change this to have a default value of false. So now we don't need to add that done. It should work. Cool. Yeah, so that's it for create subtask. And we have no way to like get to see that, right? Because if we get our like second task, it's just gonna have this still. It doesn't have our subtasks. So we're gonna eventually change that so that you can see the subtasks. Yeah, and now Joshua's gonna work on that.
So now we're gonna work on like what Sky said, just showing the relationship between the subtask and the task. So to do this, we're gonna have to go back to our db.py to change how we make our model. So here you can see we've only have like 3 columns: ID, description, and done. And we want to add a column here so that connects with the subtask, right? So we want to just have a column called tasks, and here we will have oh wait, not task, subtask, my bad. Subtasks. Here it's gonna be a not a column, it's gonna be a relationship. And the relationship it will be with the table called subtask. And wait, in this case, not the table name.
Yeah, so it's with the class.
Yeah, it's with the class subtask. And then here we have one parameter. I'm just gonna write it out first. And what this cascade equals delete field does is we're gonna attach, let's say like we're gonna attach 10 subtasks to a certain task, to like task A, for example. When we delete task A, we would also want to delete all the subtasks under that task, right? So what this does is when we delete task A, it will delete all the subtask under it, right? Because subtask right now is another model, is another table. To prevent there being like some subtask with a task that's already been deleted, we will cascade the delete. So if we delete a task, it will delete all the subtasks under it. That's what that's what this parameter does. Yeah. So once we add this, now we have this relationship here, and our task model will have access to all its subtasks. So now we can go back to app.py, all the way back up, and now we can actually change the get task route. So instead of just oh wait, sorry, not here. We're gonna change our serialize function right here. Yeah. So now that we've done adding subtask, we can add it to the serialize, so we can output it as well. So here I'm just gonna do subtasks, and then here we want to list of all the subtasks, right? But we can't just do like something like this. But this won't work because we want to get every single subtask. And remember that a subtask is also an object in this case, right? It's an instance of this class. So we want to print it out like nicely. So we'll also have to use the serialize function in subtask. So this will be the same sort of like loop inside a list like format. So we will do for subtask in self.subtask like this. And for every subtask, we want to call the serialize function. So we're going to do s.serialize like that. So it will loop through all the subtasks inside this field, self.subtask. And for every one of them, we're going to put the serialized version inside the list. So let me save that. And I think that should be it. So we've changed the serialize function. So every time we want to output a task object, it will also include all the subtasks inside of it. So we actually don't really need to change the app.py because all this does is just serializes a task and then returns it, right? So if we try that again, if we go to get all tasks, let's try run this. Oh, I spelled it wrong.
Substacks.
Substacks. Where is it? Oh, there it is. All right. Okay. Yeah. Let me make this bigger. Yeah. So just now we had two tasks, and Sky added the subtask to the eat pizza one. And as you can see now, each one has their own subtask field, and it returns a list. And in this case, it's properly formatted in the subtask, like the serialized format, and it will continue to add inside this list. So let me add another subtask actually. Under subtask ID under task 2, I'm gonna add another thing like my bags. And let me send that. So if I go back to get all tasks, yeah. So now when we do get all tasks, you can see like all these subtasks are in a list inside my task object. Yep. Any questions about this? So we were just adding this relationship to allow us to access it from the task model, and then we are just editing the serialize function to show it inside whatever we output. Yep. Do the next one. Or...
Yeah, sure. All right.
So that's our one-to-many relationship. Now we're gonna be implementing a third model. So this is like finally something different in our to-do list app. We're gonna be creating a category model. So what this does is it's like tagging in like Reddit or tagging like hashtags in Instagram. It's obviously many to many because like one tag can have like a million different posts, and each post can have a lot of tags as well. So let's just go ahead and create that category. So class category, and it's a model. And let me put the doc string category model. Yep. So the first thing I want to do is basically copy the format. So I'm going to start with the table name, and we're going to name it categories, I believe. Yeah, I'm just going to fold this equals categories. And here we're going to have a couple columns. Actually, let me ask the audience, what column should we have for the categories? Um, does anyone for an egg? I'll give someone an egg for this one. What column should we have for a category model? If we want to like categorize our to-do list like items, we want to like label them as like housework or homework or stuff like that. What kind of fields we want to add? Anyone? It's open-ended really. Yeah.
You want tasks?
Tasks. Um,
Yeah, in a way you do. That's what you're gonna have the relationship with, right? Like you're gonna have each category is gonna have a bunch of tasks, and each task can have a bunch of categories. So yeah, we can go with an egg for that.
Yeah, you can toss them in. Yeah, so the idea is sort of correct. Like, remember how last time we made the many-to-many relationship? Remember, it's always using a join table, right? So we have our task here. This is our task table, and we have our categories here. I'm just gonna categories like this, right? if you want to add a many-to-many, we wouldn't really want to add a column here for tasks, like for task ID, for example, because this way, like we're only mapping from from categories to tasks. But what about task to category, right? We talked about the problems in implementing this way, this method. So the proper way is to use a join table actually. So using a join table, and then here you have actually you have like the ID here, and you have the task ID here, and you have the category ID here. And this way it maps to like different elements in both tables, right? So right now we're not creating the join table yet. We're gonna create the categories table. So like my question was, what do we have as fields here? So obviously you want an ID, but what else do we want to store in like our categories? Like what fields do we want to store inside here? Like one idea is, does anyone have anything? Maybe, yeah. Like a description. Perfect. Yeah. So you want like a description, like a name basically, right? You want to label it as like homework or like housework or like something else, right? And maybe let's add another thing like color. Because color coding it would probably be useful. Yeah, let's keep it at that. So let's create the category model, and then later on we'll be implementing the join table. So first we want an ID. I'm just gonna copy it from here, and description as well. So you want an ID and a description. And here, let's also make a color. So that's going to be a DB column. And there'll be a string and nullable. Yep. So we have our three fields, ID, description, and color, right? So now let's define our init function. So when we're creating category model, what do we want to, like, how do we want to create the object, right? So we're going to define an init function. It's going to take self, and again, we're going to be taking the keyword arguments. Remember that what this does, it will take, it allows the user to call this, to initialize this with as many key values as they want. And then all this does is it will return to us, like inside the function, we'll be able to use it as a dictionary. So let me just add a doc string. So this initializes a category object. And then here ID will be auto incremented for us because we already have this this parameter checked off. So we just want to add the description and color. So self.description, this will be taken from our keyword arguments. And it's a dictionary, so we can do .get, and we're just going to get the description. Like that. And in case the user doesn't give us a description, we're just gonna set it as an empty string. And for the color, let's do that. Like, let's do keyword arguments again, and we're gonna get the color. And here, let's also set it as empty string. But obviously, you can put like a default color here, like blue or red. But I'll just keep it an empty string for now. So that's the end of our initialize function. You want to take the next one, or should I just?
Yeah, I can.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, so we've done our init, we've done our like columns here. We just have to do our serialize, right? So we'll def serialize. We just have self here. We don't need to pass in anything else. And this will serialize a category object. Cool. So this is going to be pretty simple for now, but we will run into something a little bit. So this is going to be pretty much the same. We're just going to return like our ID, our description. I could probably just copy it actually. We're going to return our ID and our description. And then we also have a color, right? So we'll do that. Self.color. Cool. And then eventually we're going to also want to like return the tasks that are with it, but we'll do that in just a second. We're going to start by making that join table that he was talking about. Yeah, so the way we do that in SQL Alchemy, I'm just going to come up here to do it because it's not actually a model class. All it's going to be is just a table. And I'll show you how to do that quickly. So we'll name it association table. can name it whatever you want really. But it's going to be a db.table, not a db.model. And the way you define the columns in here, first the first argument is always going to be the name of the table. So in this case, we'll just name it association. This will be our like actual SQL table name. And then we're going to have this weird thing, db.model.metadata. And basically what this does is it defines it as a table, like in the same space as all of our models, but it's not a model specifically. So that basically makes it so that when we run like db.createAll, this will also be created and we can use it in relationships, but it's not a model in the traditional sense. It's just simply a table. We don't have to make our init or our serialize for it. So this is more of a table that you're used to, not an object. So that's what metadata does. You don't really have to worry about it. You just have to write it. Yeah. And then we're just going to have these two columns, right? We have our two foreign keys, which are task ID and category ID. I'll write those out quickly. Column. Our name will be task ID for the first one. It'll be an integer. It'll be a foreign key to our tasks table and specifically the ID column there. Cool. And this will be pretty similar to like the foreign key that we did before, but we're also I'll just copy this for the sake of time. Gonna have a category ID. And that will be from categories.id. Cool, just a comma. Okay, so this should be all good for the logic in db.py, I believe. Oh yeah, we have to update these serializes so that they show like the tasks in a category and they show our categories in a task. So we're going to start that off here with categories. We're just going to make a categories column here. And it's going to be similar to this db.relationship, like our subtasks here, but it's going to be a many-to-many, so we have to do something a little special. But it's going to be a relationship with our category class, and we use the capital because it's the class, not the table in this instance. So we have category, and then the way that we set this as a to like say that this is the join table between the two is to do secondary. Secondary equals association table. So we pass in this table here, and we say that this is like a bidirectional relationship. This is the table that'll make it a many-to-many. So we just do secondary equals there. And the last thing here is backpopulates equals tasks. And basically what this does, it will automatically make the relationship go both ways. So that means like if we were to update a task, like add a category to a task, it would automatically add the task to the category as well. So that's what backpopulates does. Sorry, I'm trying to go quick just to get the Kahoot, but that's how you do a many-to-many. We just need to now update the same thing in the categories class. So it'll be very similar, just the reverse. So we'll add tasks here. In this case, it's going to be a relationship to the task class, right? And the secondary will still be the association table, but now we're going to be backpopulating to categories. And this is the SQL table name, not the class name. They like to interchange them a lot. So yeah, kind of just gotta get used to it, memorize it. I don't know. Yeah, so this looks good. We're just gonna update the serializes really quick. So it does get a little bit weird. We're gonna start with task. And the reason it gets weird, I don't know if anybody can think of it. We don't have much time, so I won't throw an egg for it. But basically, if we serialize like all our categories in task, and then within that, we are serializing the categories, and then they're going to serialize the task, and it's going to go back and forth. They're going to keep serializing each other. So we need to cut that off somehow. The way we're going to do that is we're going to make a new serialize function that we're going to use just for this. So we're still going to do like the C for C in self.categories. So we're going to get each category here. But instead of doing C.serialize, we're going to do C.simple serialize. Cool. So let's implement that quick. That will be in category. And we're going to define our simple serialize here. And it'll be the same thing, just it won't include the tasks. So cool. We're just gonna it's gonna be very similar to this. We're just oh, we didn't even add it here yet. Yeah, we're just gonna have the ID, the description, and the color. So this will be the same as what we have right now, but in the regular serialize, we are gonna want to have our tasks showing up there. So this will just be tasks, and then it will be the same thing we did up here. But it will be t.serialize or t in self.tasks. Right? This makes sense to me. I think we're okay. It's actually not like written here for some reason, but
You skipped ones.
oh yeah. Did I write it correctly? T.serialize for t in self.tasks.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we just not do the last thing and do the Kahoot?
Signing categories.
Or should I just like speed run it, like write it as fast as I possibly
Yeah,
can?
go for it.
All right, bet. I'm just gonna like type racer this one real quick, and then we'll get the Kahoot.
This one is this. I mean, we've taught you all the syntax. This is a fast one because
Yeah.
and I'll speak of it. You can
All right, bet.
go. So this endpoint is for assigning a category to a task. So first thing you want to do is you want to get the task, right? As usual, you want to check if it exists. If it doesn't exist, return a failure response, right? And then next, what you want to do is you want to get the body that the user gave you, because you're actually right here you're going to be get like yeah, you're going to be getting a category and you're going to set that category to be a part of a task, right? So yeah, so after you get the body, you get the description and the color, and then you filter by
Or category.
oh,
My
you
bad.
have an imported category. Yeah, so you want to
Yeah.
filter by the color. Wait, the color actually.
So if the category doesn't already exist, we're going to be, I don't know why it's called. Shouldn't it be ID? I think we don't have an ID yet, so we're gonna filter by the color.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if we don't have the category already, we're gonna create it. Otherwise, we're just going to now, like at this point, we'll either have the category that we already had or we'll have created it here. So we'll just do we'll just append it. So and then we'll commit. And just serialize it at the end.
So you guys can look at this after class, see if it makes sense. But
Yeah.
this is essentially assigning a category to a task. That
Yeah.
was a bit rushed.
Yeah, and I think we don't filter by ID here because if the category doesn't exist, we have no like category ID to filter by. So we just use color here.